If you own land in Idaho, vacant land, acreage, or development ground, this video is for you. Before you price it, before you list it, before you talk to buyers, developers, or investors, there are a few critical things you need to understand. Because land is not residential real estate, and treating it like a house is one of the fastest ways that landowners lose money, time, or leverage. Many of the landowners we speak with don't realize this until they've already made a mistake. Sometimes that mistake costs thousands, sometimes it costs years on market. Our goal with this video is simple: to give you clarity before you do anything. This is foundational knowledge, especially for landowners here in the Treasure Valley. Let's start with the biggest misconception. Land is not valued, marketed, or negotiated the same way a home is. With a house, buyers respond emotionally. They walk through it. They picture living there. They compare finishes, layouts, and condition. Land doesn't work like that. Land is evaluated based on use, risk, constraints, future potential, and certainty. And here's the key thing most landowners miss. It's that the land, well, let me rephrase that. The buyer for land is rarely an emotional buyer. Land buyers are typically builders, developers, investors, or very specific end users with a plan. And when I say that, we're talking about somebody who wants to, let's say they want to come in and have an equestrian center, or they want to come in and they want to have a specific livestock operation. They want to have cattle and room to forage. They may want to have sheep. They may want to have llamas or alpacas, who knows. They may want to have a hobby farm with specific crops, or they want to grow specific crops. So they're coming in with a plan. They're not just buying, like in COVID, we had very emotional buyers. And they would buy anything for any reason because they were working remotely and they thought they wanted to be farmers for a while. Then they realized how much work it was and then they changed their minds. But that's a whole different video. So these new buyers, or the buyers we're currently seeing, they're asking questions like, what can I do with the property? What can't I do with the property? How long will it take? What could go wrong and how expensive can that get? And let's jump into all of those. And the thing you need to know is every unanswered question creates risk. Risk directly lowers value on properties, specifically on land. The single biggest mistake that Idaho landowners make is this: they assume that the land value is obvious. We hear them say things like, it's a great location, it's near growth, a builder will love this, it's worth X because a house over here on this parcel sold for Y. But land doesn't price itself on proximity or potential alone. Land prices itself based on what is legally allowable, what is physically possible, what is financially feasible, and what buyers are willing to take on right now. Two parcels that look identical on a map can differ in value by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why? It's pretty easy, actually. Zoning, access, utilities, water, or lack thereof, topography, entitlements. And when we say entitlements, has the land already been platted out? Do you know for certain exactly how many homes can be built on that piece of dirt, where the streets will go, where the easements are, and what they can get out of it? So is the land already entitled, or is the buyer going to have to do that on their side? And the timelines, how long is that going to take? And last but not least, holding costs. Ignoring any of those can stall a property or force a serious price reduction later. Another common mistake is trying to price land like a house, all right? Land is definitely not priced by price per square foot, price per acre alone, online estimates, neighbor opinions, or what somebody hopes a developer will pay. Those tools don't account for risk. Land buyers, serious land buyers like we have now, they discount for uncertainty, unknowns, time, and capital exposure. If a buyer has to wait on zoning changes, and let me be real honest here, zoning changes take a very long time. You're talking, as a rule of thumb, a minimum of a year. Quite honestly, we're in an escrow right now that we're in February 2026, and I believe to they started the process for the zoning change, I think in September or October of 2024. So here we are already in 2026, and it's not done yet. Hopefully it'll get done this month, but you're talking a minimum 1 year for a zoning change. So if a buyer has to wait on the zoning change, if they have to extend their utilities, meaning how far are they pulling power, how far are they pulling water and sewer, or if they can't pull water and sewer, are they drilling wells, or are they going to have to put a septic in? Do they have to navigate other approvals, or are they going to have to hold on to the land for years and be able to do all these things? They're going to price all that risk into their offer. And here's something else that's really important to understand. The highest possible value is not the same as the highest market value. Seriously, write that down. Market value reflects what buyers are willing to pay today given current conditions, not hypothetical future scenarios. All right? So I touched on zoning for a second, but let's talk about zoning, because this is another area where landowners really get tripped up. Zoning doesn't tell you what could happen someday, it tells you what's allowed right now. Buyers truly care about current zoning, allowed density, how many homes per acre can they build, what are the permitted uses, what are the conditional uses, and what are the overlay districts? Like, how many people are they going to have to talk to? I say people. How many different agencies or entities are they going to have to talk to get final approval for what they want to do with the dirt? Future land use maps and comprehensive plans can be helpful, but they're not guarantees. And I have a perfect example to share with you right now. It happened this week. The city of Boise decided, the city council came out Monday saying, hey, we're not going to annex in any more development land, any more land north of the current city boundaries in the foothills up there, up to by Simple Hills, you're heading up into Bogus Basin. And if you were playing, like if you own dirt up there and let's say worst case scenario, you're in escrow on a piece of dirt north of the current city boundary as you're heading up Bogus Basin Road, over on Cartwright Ranch Road, one of those parcels over there. You're in escrow, you're in your due diligence period, and then all of a sudden the city of Boise says, yeah, we're not going to annex that land after all, so now you're not going to have the ability to develop it, or if you are, you're going to have to go through a whole different agency, and what if they're 2 or 3 months into their process already? It's not a guarantee. So, and I don't know that anybody saw that coming. Maybe somebody who actually watches city council every day could know that, or the city commission, but most people got caught off guard by that. And there's a lot of people, I promise you, a lot of landowners that are very unhappy now because their land value may have dropped because of this decision. So it's not a guarantee when you look at a area of impact, comprehensive plan, everything. That's what they want to do. But all of that land that's in that area of impact map for the city of Boise now, it just went out the window. So assuming zoning will change is speculative. Speculation lowers certainty lowers value on land. Smart landowners understand the difference between what is allowed today, what might be allowed someday, and what a buyer is willing to pay for each scenario. All right, so we've talked about zoning now, so let's go on to water. Because if you've seen any of our other videos where we talk about water, whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting. Water is a huge deal, and it affects value almost more than anything else you'll deal with. Zoning's very, very important as well, but water's huge. Water rights, wells, irrigation districts, and municipal access can dramatically affect land value, and misunderstandings within water are very, very common. So here are some key things that landowners should understand. Not all water transfers with the land when you sell it. That's surprising, but it's true. Not all wells are equal. That's very true. Not all irrigation is usable for development, and not all access is legal access. That's a trick question, but it's true. Buyers are going to verify recorded access. So there's a road going to your property, but it might go through somebody else's property to get there. Is there a deeded easement, a recorded easement allowing that piece, that road to stay there? Or is that just a road that's been there for 50 years, somebody's been using it, but that buyer is going to have to approach that other landowner and pay them money to get a recorded access, to that easement, get it recorded so they can always have that road there so they can get in and out of their property. That's important. They're going to verify the utility proximity. How close is power? How far are they going to pull it? Do they have city water or county water, or are they going to have to drill their own wells? What's the irrigation water situation? And what is the septic or sewer feasibility? Have you already done a perk test? Or are they going to have to do that to figure out whether or not they can even have a septic system on your property? If those answers aren't clear, buyers assume the worst and price accordingly. So, before you sell, develop, or hold land, you need to understand your position. So, ask yourself, Do I want maximum price or do I want minimum risk? Both fair questions. Do I want speed or certainty? Am I prepared for long timelines? Am I comfortable with entitlement risk? And again, entitlement risk is, let me think about this in layman terms. So basically, are you willing to spend the money to do the plat mapping and make sure that each parcel is broken out? Like, so if you're going to develop the land, if the land is most likely to be a development project, are you going to spend, as the landowner, are you going to spend the money to do all the plats, to break out all the, know where the streets are, know where the easements are, know where all the houses are, know exactly how many homes you can put on that parcel? Or is the buyer going to have to do all that themselves? Because if they have to do it all themselves, they're going to price that into the offer. There's no single right answer, but there is a right strategy for your situation. The worst position is drifting forward without clarity. So, if you remember one thing from this video, let it be this: land rewards preparation, but it punishes assumptions. The more clarity you create, the more confident the buyers become, the stronger your negotiating position is, and the better your outcome tends to be. So, clarity means a lot of things to a lot of people. But when I talk about clarity in this channel, specifically about land, from a marketing standpoint as a listing agent, we want to make sure that when we market land, that it's idiot proof. All right? Probably not the nicest thing to say, but you got to understand there are a lot of really good residential real estate agents who occasionally get involved in land without knowing anything about land, and their buyers pay the price, or their sellers pay the price if they're listing the dirt and don't know what they have. I'll give you a great example. We got a call the other day from a friend of ours who is a great residential agent. She really is. And she sold some dirt, and the buyers find out 4 months into it, after they've already closed on the dirt, they can't put a septic system in there, so they can't build a house on it. She calls us up. She's like, "What do I do?" I was like, "Well, sell the dirt. Sell the dirt, but make sure you let the people know they can't build on it." So it matters, but the proper marketing of that dirt would have precluded her from making that mistake. So clarity on the landowner's part is important. Clarity on the marketing agent, the listing agent, is very important. Or if you're buying dirt, making sure that your buyer's agent knows dirt makes a huge difference too. So this channel, this video channel, exists to help landowners understand these issues before they cost you money. If you own land in Idaho and want to understand value, risk, and options before making a decision, make sure you're subscribed here. We break land down clearly, without pressure, hype, or sales tactics. And if you have specific questions about your property, feel free to give me a call. My number is 208 872 8108. There's never any pressure. I'm always happy to talk about dirt. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.